Convenience, I must admit, is seductive. It promises us freedom, more time, less effort. It tells us life will be happy when life is streamlined. And yet, if we look closely, something more dangerous and sinister is happening. And that is disconnection. It's disconnection from our daily rituals. I'm talking about the small tasks. It's the repetitive acts that once gave us a bit of structure. And I think there's particular areas where disconnection has silently robbed us. And I actually think when things become too easy, there's less value on them. When there's no friction, no process, no waiting, we stop paying attention. We scroll past experiences, scroll past songs on Spotify, and take pictures of every waking moment. We're kind of always primed to be looking for the next thing. And I think there's a slight danger in convenience that sometimes it's not actually saving us time. Let's think of an old invention like the washing machine. When it was first introduced, it was revolutionary. It saved households hours of exhausting labour every single week. For the first time, families could reclaim entire afternoons that would have been otherwise been bent over basins and scrubbing boards. It actually gave people their time back. They could spend time with their friends and family, and there was this kind of liberation. But fast forward to today, I think we've swung far too much in the other direction. The idea of time in itself, I think, has changed. We actually have been given back hours upon hours of our time, but yet we always manage to find ourselves struggling to find more time. We're more busy than ever and doing more things. And this begs the question, what are we actually doing with our time? So I have a theory, maybe inconvenience isn't a big problem as much as we thought it was. Well, not with everything. Maybe there's a use for some of these inconvenience things that we have to do. Maybe the friction of some of these tasks of everyday life causes us to pause. It gives us routine and also makes us slow down. Maybe it was never wasted time. Let's take cleaning for example. For me, there's something deeply satisfying about hoovering. I don't know what it is, but I've never minded hoovering. For me, I find it quite satisfying. And I think it's because maybe it's the visible transformation right before me that I can actually see right there and then. And it's probably the ritual and the routine of doing it. And yes, I probably could buy a self-cleaning hoover and just press play, but that means the ritual has disappeared. What was once an act of care and presence and me slowing down a bit becomes a sterile, impersonal act. Let's take photography for example. I remember when I was a kid, my dad had to buy the film rolls and you had to put the film roll in the camera and that roll gave you a certain amount of photos. So with each photo, you actually had to be very intentional on what you were taking. And you could visibly see the countdown of the photos going down after each photo. So that meant that you just didn't waste any. You just didn't take pictures of everything. And back then there wasn't a screen, so you couldn't see the picture straight away. So that kept you in the moment. And for me, I think that's kind of more fun. And I've seen a bit of resurgence in people wanting to take pictures the old school way, wanting to develop them. You don't get them immediately, you then have to wait. Then there's this anticipation of what you captured and you can't actually remember everything what happened, so then when you do get it back it's almost like you're reliving the moments but in a physical form. You can actually physically hold it, and I think that's something now that we're missing. Yes, digital photos are great and we can take pictures and take thousands of pictures within 10 minutes, but sometimes that can cause us to be out of the moment. I've been to whole concerts where people have had their phones out for the entire time. Essentially they've been experiencing a live concert through their device, which has taken them out the moment. That item that is very convenient, which yes, it's great that they can document it, has taken them out the process. And with an art like music or photography, I think there's definitely ways in the way they're meant to be consumed. The director David Lynch once said, it actually makes him sick when people watch his films on a phone. His point was clear. Some experiences demand your full attention. They need a big screen, the silence of a theatre, the immersion, and shrinking them down and consuming them in the quickest and easiest way robs them of their depth. And with certain everyday things and rituals, their experiences, take something as simple as cooking a meal. If we're always ordering something online through an app, it becomes this impersonal thing, and it's like you have all this choice. I remember being on a food delivery app, and I was just scrolling because I didn't know what to choose. There was too much choice, and it even crossed my mind, don't laugh, I thought to myself I wanted 2 different things. So I thought to myself, I can order one thing from that restaurant and another thing from that restaurant. I couldn't actually make a decision. I was stuck in this decision fatigue, analysis paralysis of so much choice. And more often than not, when the food does come, it doesn't even taste great. It's either soggy or it's been rolling around in the delivery box. I remember going to a somewhat high-end restaurant in Mayfair, London, and it was an amazing experience. I could see all the chefs to the left of me working on the dishes, so that made me feel like the food was fresh and I was really experiencing this authentic cuisine. I also experienced all the decor of the restaurant, the smell, the customer service. You could tell that the owners had gone through a great deal on trying to curate a feeling. And some would say, yes, this is a type of art and they want you to consume it in a particular way. From the way they served the food. I remember one dish, we didn't even have a plate. It was literally on the table. And that in itself was an experience that I'm never going to forget. And it was the whole atmosphere of other people as well enjoying the same thing for the first time. So essentially, it was more than just food. It was more than just consuming something. And in so many aspects, something as simple as that, instead of cooking, go into a restaurant. And I think the same happens in so many other convenience aspects of our lives. Let's take even shopping for clothes. Yes, we can order anything we want from Amazon to Boohoo to all these online shops. That takes the experience of actually visibly seeing the clothes. Sometimes if I'm shopping online, you can't even tell the colours or the texture or the quality of the product. You don't actually know it until it arrives. By then, you've got the item, you can't try it on. But if you're in store, you can try it on with different items. Again, that's a whole experience. In itself, it's the act of doing something in the real. I guess what I'm trying to say here is when you're actually doing something through any type of friction, there's more depth to what you're experiencing. And the scariest part is that even I myself now are being conditioned to expecting everything right now. I was shopping for a camera lens the other day, and I think it said 3 working days, and in my head I thought that's too long, that's way too long, I can't wait that, I need something next day. And I've gotten so used to ordering stuff even the same day actually by 10 p.m. and I've become conditioned to next day and today's delivery, which isn't a good thing, which means that I'm not as patient as I once was for certain things. And this impatience kind of filters out to other areas of your life, which is what I don't want. I don't want to be impatient. I want to be able to savor the moment. I want to be able to be patient for things, especially that I know that are going to last, and if I wait, it would actually be better. And I think also so much of our unhappiness with other areas of our life comes from the impatience of wanting things right now. So now ask the question again, what are we doing with all this time? Are we cooking more meals? Are we reading more books? Are we creating more art? Or are we just filling this extra time with more convenience items? More scrolling, more passive consumption? And I do think there are hidden costs to this convenience that we're having. I think someone or somewhere down the line, someone is paying for that fast food delivery service. A restaurant may be barely meeting their margins. Look at fast fashion. We always hear stories of these workers in factories that are being exploited, and you will never see them. Somewhere down the line, someone pays for your speed. And at an individual level, I think most importantly, convenience isolates us. If I order dinner, I'm alone. When everything is reduced to apps and online spaces, we lose the physical collective spaces. I'm talking about the markets, the bookstores, the cafe, the culture in itself of your local area. That's why sometimes if you're living in a city that doesn't really necessarily have a culture, it can almost feel like sterile or manufactured. Everything is so efficient. It's almost soulless. But it's not all doom and gloom. I have seen some light at the end of the tunnel. It seems as though people are returning to more outdoor activities, especially when it comes to things like running or if you're in the world of high rocks. I think there's definitely now more of an appreciation on experiences. For some reason, I love going to farmers markets on Sundays. There's definitely something about buying a food closer to the source and actually asking questions about how they grow the items, especially if it's local. And yes, it'll probably be more easier going to a supermarket or to a grocery store, but it echoes the point that I've been trying to make throughout this video. It's soulless. You're not meeting the person who's actually grown the vegetables for you. I remember once I ordered an Uber for my mum and my dad couldn't believe it. For him, ordering an Uber is luxury, because back in the day, if you had to have a taxi, ordinarily you needed a lot of money in order for you to afford to carry that. Obviously now it's a lot more cheaper to do, and for him that is a huge luxury. But I think that's how we should be treating conveniences. Conveniences should be a luxury to be used sparingly, not as the default or the expectation. A luxury, but not a lifestyle. Anyways guys, that brings me to a close. If you like this video, please smash the like button. If you have anything to say, please comment below. I'd love to know where you're watching from. And if you want to see more videos like this, I urge you to subscribe, and I'll see you guys.